So I was watching SmackDown last night, and pretty good show, by the way. But John Cena opens the show. Roman Reigns comes out, interrupts him. I'm like, oh, here we go again. We got that SummerSlam 2022. Was it 2022? SummerSlam 2021 vibes, I want to say. Anyway, we brought back some of those vibes, and then John Cena's like, I'm not here to challenge you. Out comes LA Knight, and LA Knight's, he's got the crowd in the palm of his hands. Great intro to the show. Right? It was a pretty good show, throughout and stuff. We got some pretty good matches. Cody Rhodes was there, stared off with Roman Reigns. That was very good. But I'm not here to talk about SmackDown. AEW is at an extremely low point right now. I've been telling myself, we're in a transitional period. But we've been in this transitional period for like a year now. You know what I mean? Like, it's we're getting to the point where it's like, okay, we kind of gotta make this show good again. Because it's not like just because WWE is doing very good, AEW can't. Two wrestling companies can be big at the same time. This was true in 2021. This was true a little bit for the first half of 2022. Both companies were doing really well. There was a time when AEW used to sell out 7,000, 8,000, maybe even 10,000 tickets every Dynamite. And that's not the case anymore. A couple of months ago, they had the Forbidden Door and they had the Hamilton show. Now, I don't live in Canada. I live very close to Canada, but I attended both shows, right? I have family in Canada, so we went to both shows. The Forbidden Door in Toronto sold out, it was like 14,000 people maybe. It was great. The crowd was full. It was incredible. And then I remember going to the Hamilton show, and that had about 4,000, I want to say 4,000 to 4,500 people there. And at the time, I remember thinking, wow, they've blocked off kind of the whole upper section here, and that whole section behind, with the hard camera, that's kind of, nobody's sitting there. But I remember being like, man, 4,500 people, like that's it. Granted, Hamilton is not the best place to go for wrestling, but they kind of finished their Canada tour, and they were getting like 4,000 tickets per show, and I was like, that's not a lot. Like, maybe that's just a Canadian problem, but that's kind of not a lot. And then they came back to the US, and I thought, okay, come on, more ticket sales, let's go. 6,000, 7,000 people, every AEW show, and that wasn't the case. And it just got lower and lower and lower, and at this point, they're getting 3,000, 2,500 people maybe per show, and that's very hard to watch. But fear not, because I have a solution. In fact, I have 10 solutions. I've come up with a list of 10 things that AEW can do to fix its ticket sale problem. Because let's be honest, it's a problem. So how do we go back to that blissful era of 8,000 or more tickets per Dynamite? I've got 10 things that AEW can do. I feel like as long as AEW does 6 of these things, they'll be okay. If they can do all 10, they'll be back. AEW will be back. But if they can do 6 or 7 of these things, I think the ticket sales can definitely rise. Number 1, get rid of the Ring of Honor. Why is Honor Club? Why do people pay to watch Ring of Honor? 99% of the AEW fan base doesn't watch Ring of Honor, they don't care for Ring of Honor, and they don't want to see Ring of Honor. Number 2, get rid of Rampage, or even get rid of Collision. There, I said it. If you got rid of Collision, right, if AEW gets rid of Collision, and they only have Dynamite, that's only one weekly show, right? So they're not going to go to a city and have Dynamite there on Wednesday, and then Saturday they have Collision, because who's going to buy a ticket to both? Not me. I'm not going to. I don't even care for Collision at this point. I think it's Rampage 2.0. So if you got rid of Rampage or you got rid of Collision, you could film both of those shows in the same night. Like, then you'd have 2 shows, right? You film both of them in the same night. You don't need to tour and have 2 different events in the same week in the same city. Number 3, more women. Doesn't have to be a lot more, but it should still be more. Right now, AEW has 3 shows: Dynamite, Rampage, Collision. The formula I would use is for however many shows you have, add 1 to that number, and that's how many women's matches you should have per week. So for example, right, 3 shows, you add 1, that's 4. You should have 4 women's matches every week. Now, it's not up to me, it's up to, Tony Khan or whatever, and he can decide, does he want to have 2 women's matches on Rampage? Does he want 2 on Collision? Does he want 2 on Dynamite? Whatever. But I do think there should be more in the women's division. I think The women are a draw, you know? Saraya is a draw. Like, no matter what you want to say, she could be a little bit of a draw. Everybody knows her. She has 2 million followers on Twitter. Jamie Hayter, oh dude, when she comes back, I'd go to the shows just to see Jamie Hayter. In fact, when I went to Forbidden Door, I really wanted to see her, and I didn't. Number 4, stop touring in the same places. Every time I go on WrestleTix and I see that, oh, Dynamite is here, and then I'm like, oh, well, the last time they were here, they got 5,000 tickets. But they were there last time in 2023. Number 5, book like a TV show. Man, there is a lot of stuff on AEW that I just don't care for. You know what I mean? Like, there's these filler matches, you know, and it's like, I just feel like AEW has such a problem with telling weekly stories, or at least telling more than one weekly story, because they're telling this Edge and Adam Copeland story very well. Okay, I think it's going very good with them. And then they got the MJF Jay White thing, and that's okay. Again, the devil mask could have been, they could use that a lot. But everything else is like, you see it one week, the next week they don't mention anything about that story at all. And then the week after that, yeah, they bring it back. But by that point, I forgot about it. Number 6, get an LA Knight. LA Knight is so over, right? He is what the Acclaimed was to AEW back in that 2022 era. He's so over, right? He's the hottest WWE superstar. The Acclaimed used to be that. I think AEW needs that again, right? I mean, they still have the Acclaimed, but they don't show up weekly anymore. And I was saying this in a previous video. It should be Elias. Dude, Elias was let go from WWE. I don't know what his name would be or anything, but he should bring back that music gimmick. And he should be on the shows. He would be so over. I'd go to the show to see Elias. Absolutely, I would. The point is, you know, you go to SmackDown to see LA Knight. You know, you hear LA Knight's gonna be there. You're like, dude, I want to see, dude, that guy's cool, man. I want to see that guy. I'm gonna go buy a ticket. Right? That's what AEW needs. Because there's gonna be a star. AEW needs a star where you want to buy a ticket because you want to see them live. Because you want to participate in that crowd love. You know what I mean? Number 7, showcase big stars. This company is 4 or 5 years old at this point, and I don't know why they keep, and this has been an issue with AEW since, not really in 2019, but in 2020 and over, they've really just tried to constantly showcase new stars and elevate new younger guys. It's like the company is 5 years old. There's still so much to do with all the top stars you already have. Number 8, less meaningless matches. Now, I kind of brought this up already with the book like a TV show, but there's a lot of meaningless matches in AEW, right? And that's the problem. Because when you have meaningless matches, you have filler TV. Nobody wants filler TV. Number 9, bring back the tunnels and the old graphics. Maybe it's just me. Okay, and I swear, every video I say this. If you brought back the old tunnels and the old exploding colorful graphics, then the people who watched AEW in the very beginning who have left, who wish to have that again, might come back. And it also just looks cooler. And number 10, make the show crazy. Tony Khan should be smart enough to know that the ticket sales are a problem. So make the show crazy. I'm talking go all out every week until the end of the year, right? How many months we have left of this year? 3, 2.5, right? Every show, give us something where we watch it and it's just nonstop. Like, there should be no breaks, nonstop. I want entertainment constantly going into my eyes and in my ears, in my brain, right? That's what I would do if I was Tony Khan, right? Yeah, so okay, so the show was stale. Okay, so let's do the exact opposite then, now. Twists, turns, incredible matches, returns, debuts, promos that are just the sickest promos ever. Steel cage matches, man. I'd have at least 2 by the time we get to the end of the year. Steel cage matches, barbed wire matches, end the show. Every week, end the show with something crazy, a cliffhanger, an all-out brawl, some kind of like heel turn, I don't know, right? But if the show is crazy and wildly entertaining, people will watch, and that's what I would do. And if you do that and you do everything else, you gotta, easily. If you do all 10 of these things, they'd have 1 million viewers again, and they'd have probably 6,000 tickets for every Dynamite. Those are my 10 thoughts of what AEW could do to improve the ticket sales Let me know what you think in the comments.